Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's episode 3 recap of The Amazing Race. Joining me tonight is none other than Calbert. Calbert, how's it going?
Going on, everybody?
Also joining me, as always, is Goldberg. Goldberg, how you doing tonight?
Pretty good. What's up, guys?
All right, so episode 3 is in the books of The Amazing Race, the Brazil episode. A lot of twists and turns this week, a lot of surprises, some good, some bad. We're going to break it down. But let's start off with Goldberg. Goldberg, your thoughts overall on the episode before we really break it down.
Well, I think we'll all be in agreement that I enjoyed this episode a lot. Again, I'm going to compare it to previous episodes, and as much as I liked the second episode, I enjoyed this one even more than that one because you finally had some personality come out from these teams, and trying to screw over some other teams, and that always makes for good television.
Calbert.
Or payback for the week previous, right? So the debt has been paid. So, we'll see. It's going to be interesting to see. I think we've started to kind of see, as the last 2 weeks have gone by, a little bit more separation. We're kind of starting to see the teams that are good and the teams that struggle and won't be around much longer. I don't think. So, good episode.
Yeah, it was a lot of interesting pieces in this one, of course, and I got a good story about the U-turn when we get to that point. I'll share it, but let's start off with so we leave to go to Brazil, to go into the Amazon, first time in Amazing Race history. Just really cool that they got to do this, hang out with the indigenous tribes. That's pretty cool. But first, they had to go to the market. They had to get 11 items and then the machete. This caused pretty much either you didn't read the clue or you didn't get all the items you were supposed to get. It was kind of a combination of both. It seemed like the only team that really, I guess, did this perfect was Will and James. Goldberg, you had to be feeling pretty good with Will and James right here.
Yeah. It was a great start for them, and you're right. Most of the other teams, it seemed like everybody was zooming through this thing, and then when they got to the end point where they're checking the items, I kind of just expected everybody to get an okay and get the next clue. And then when Will and James got theirs, they were in first, and then all of a sudden everybody else they forgot, I guess, another pair of gloves. A few teams forgot their second pair of gloves, and yeah, I was feeling pretty comfortable until Will and James realized that they were leaving individual items behind, which kind of made me a little nervous at first. But then, once everybody was leaving their shit behind, I realized they're going to have a nice lead because they only forgot one or two things. Meanwhile, everybody else was forgetting the whole bag.
Yeah. And it was after that point, it was like, a lot of teams were on the boat and they're forgetting their items. Michelle and Victoria were one. I believe Gary and D'Angelo did too, I believe. Correct, Calbert?
Yeah, they did. Yes, they did.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. They just went right on the boat.
And it was either that or you had, like my team, who they kept forgetting at least one item. They had to go back and get that one item. So that really slowed them down. But, I don't know how the volleyballers did. I think they got everything, but I'm not positive on that. So yeah, this was kind of this was pretty tough for every team, it seemed. So, even like Frank and Jerry couldn't even find where the place was to start off. So that obviously
them, and who was the
other?
I think there was another team that couldn't find.
I think it was
Michelle and Victoria. No.
Kaylin and Haley. I think.
Was it? Was it Kaylin and Haley?
Victoria did too. I think there were a couple things. Victoria and Michelle did, and I think Kaylin and Haley did.
I think this point in the show is really where Frank and Jerry kind of, I guess, in essence, were eliminated because they kind of got screwed over again here. If I could just touch on it for a second, when Gary and D'Angelo decided not to tell Michelle and Victoria that they had to bring their bags. You guys remember this?
Yes.
Yep.
And then they decided on the boat, while the boats are moving, they threw them a bone and gave them a heads up. If they didn't tell them, Michelle and Victoria it was Michelle and Victoria, right?
Yes.
Yes.
They would have been in the exact same position as Frank and Jerry. They would have gotten all the way there and realized we got to go all the way back to get our stuff. Frank and Jerry did not hear that and ended up going all the way there, and that was kind of the beginning of the end for them.
Yeah, and obviously the U-turn solidified it, but yeah.
I think they were out anyway, even if they didn't get the U-turn.
Well, and Michelle and Victoria also struggled with getting the clue to decide what they wanted to do. Remember, they had to search. They were like searching in the Sahara to try and find the.
That actually, Calbert, was after the detour. They couldn't find where the pit stop clue.
Yes, that's true. Yep.
They looked for over a half hour for that.
Right.
That's just that they had their dumb blonde moment, and they're not even blonde. So, I mean, so yeah, after we had the market, we had the long boat ride, and then we finally got the detour, which was, I have it pulled up here. It was called, come on, where is it? It's coming to me here. Here we go. Okay, so the detour was teams had to board a boat with the items they purchased at the market that would take them to the Desana village in the Amazon forest, where Chief Pinon would use a blowgun to knock teams' detour clue down from a tree.
I thought they were going to have to knock it down themselves. That would have been
Yeah,
That was
right.
kind of cool, by the way, just to see. That was I kind of like that part. I thought that was kind of cool. That's some. You got to be pretty accurate with those things. So.
Oh
That guy
gosh,
shoots
yeah.
100%.
He
don't miss.
he was. He don't. Shelter from the trees, or I'm sorry, shelter from trees or well done, please was the detour.
Right.
I thought well done, please was from the looks of it was way faster than the shelter from trees. So I think if you did the cooking one here, you got done a lot quicker, and I think it kind of showed with one team that kind of placed high. But what did you guys think of the detour, Calbert?
I agree. I thought the cooking one was easier. So if I would have been on the show, that's the one I probably would have done. But once you figured out the rhythm of the shelter from tree, how the tying went, yeah, that's a little more time consuming, but it could be easier. And I mean, everybody complained about how hot it was for being in the Amazon. I'm sorry, the Amazon doesn't have air conditioning, so it's hot and humid over most of this country, most of the United States anyway, for part of the year. So just do it. But yeah, I thought the cooking one was easier, but that's the one I probably would have done. But I totally get if you would have done the shelter from tree, because you don't have to carry your stuff then, assuming you don't get U-turn, but you wouldn't know that,
Right.
So.
Yeah, I think personally that I think the shelter from trees was a little tougher because you had to have the leaves a certain way, and they had to be woven so to keep the rain out.
Right.
And it looked like the cooking one was a little more straightforward, and pretty much every team got it done on the first try. I don't think there was much, not many teams who took that side had trouble, unlike the shelter from trees. Goldberg.
Yeah, I was waiting for the cooking one. I was waiting for the judge to maybe, take a sip and spit it out and be like, "Oh, this is disgusting. Redo it." That was just terrible.
I thought the same thing. Yeah.
But it seemed like he just let everybody go. I mean, I guess all theirs tasted proper. But yeah, I mean, as it turns out, it seems like that was the easier one of the two. Um, are we getting to the U-turn here, or should I save that?
Yeah, I mean, we can go into it because so Will and James finished their task, the well done please. They got it done first. And they get to the U-turn board, and all of a sudden, they somehow knew that the Blondes got the clue over the Hurdlers, and they used it against Alana and Leo from what they did last week, and they decided to U-turn Alana and Leo. Good move, bad move. I will start with you since it was your team, Goldberg.
No, I mean, I loved it. I mean, I predicted last week that their bitchy side would come out, or I mean, you could almost call it a competitive side. Nick came out, and I love the move to they tried to mask it by saying Alana and Leo are the biggest competition, but we know the real reason they did it because of the tipped off clue last week. I would say that's definitely the reason they did it, because I don't think anybody was happy about that, and they were the first ones there, and they said, you know what, screw it, we'll be the ones to pay them back for tipping the Blondes off about a clue. So I like the move, but I mean, unfortunately, it didn't pay off,
Right.
because the Blondes came right in and saved the day and returned the favor. So it didn't pay off, but I like the competitive edge, and I like that Will and James are, fuck it, man. We don't care if we make an enemy here, and we're playing this game.
I enjoyed the fact that it was Alana and Leo, but since it was a double, the Blondes saved them, obviously, by going after Frank and Jerry because of the darn alliance that they had. But now we got a little bit of beef going on. We got some beef going on between Will and James and Alana and Leo, so I'm kind of liking that at least. Yeah, I mean, with the Blondes, having their back, whatever, they obviously owed them from the week before, so that was to be expected. But as far as Frank and Jerry,
I think they finished though before Frank and Jerry. I don't know. There might have been some editing done there to make it seem like it was kind of closer than it was, because I don't think Frank and Jerry really ever had a chance. Even if they didn't get U-turned, I still think they would have lost. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's possible. And that boat ride was long, and they had to. If you watch the hidden scenes, it was they had to stop for gas, which I thought that was even more interesting. But another funny story about Will and James and Alana and Leo. Apparently, the night before, according to the volleyballers, they were getting along perfectly, and I guess Will and James were up to their devious tactics. And yeah, they got him back. There's no question. So
I got a newfound respect for Will and James.
Calbert, your thoughts on the U-turn?
Like Alana, I knew as soon as Alana said, "Well, no one's gonna U-turn us because we finished so badly in the last challenge." Kiss death. That means you are gonna get U-turned, and the game of Amazing Race has officially started. Took a little bit longer, but it's officially started now. And so, of course, if I were Will and James, I would have done the exact same thing. We have a little bit of beef. Oh, well, here you go. I'm gonna pay you back for your big mouth from the week before. Yeah, okay, you didn't finish great the week before. Now you have to do an extra challenge, and then basically almost self-destruct because the tree wasn't built correctly originally. I mean, she could still be out there if it's not for Leo. Leo saved them by going, we're just gonna power through it and let's go, essentially. So of course she's gonna get. Of course they're gonna get U-turned. I would have done the same thing. I'd have found out if we were in the junkyard. I would have found out, okay, who opened up their big mouth. You're on my list, and the list is not a good, like a Kashiriko, a list. The list is not a good place to be. So, I mean, I'm not intimidated by you. I'm not afraid by you. But yeah, you're gonna have to do the extra challenge. Have fun with that.
Well, yeah, and Alana, she kind of had a breakdown again,
Right.
A little bit. But the other thing is too, we still have more yields to come, and we have another double U-turn again because they said that's the first of two.
Right.
So that could be interesting to see what happens. So, and
wait a minute. Since Will and James used it, now they can't use another one.
I don't think so, but I could be wrong.
If there's only two in the whole show, why didn't everybody use it? If you only get two opportunities.
The U-turn?
Yeah, if there's only two the entire show, why were Will and James the blondes the only ones?
Probably because if you're in a head and you don't want any drama, then you just say who cares.
If I only have two chances to use something, I'm using it, whether it's now or later. Maybe they'll use it later. I don't know.
But it's all strategy, though. Do you really want? I mean, if you use it first, then you're going to have the target on your back. If you have a bad leg, then you're pretty much, someone's going to use it against you. And the other question I had was, I usually don't like when U-turns are at the end because there's no chance for a team to make up ground. Did you guys like that? I like it when the U-turn's like right in the beginning. So at least if you have to do a roadblock, you possibly have some time to catch up.
I mean, I hear what you're saying. But at the end of the day, it's all about it's a game. So it's all about where you finish. So even if I'm ahead, or even especially if I'm in the middle, I'm gonna take every advantage I can to try and increase my lead of making it to the mat before the team, that I'm U-turning. So I was okay with that. I mean, and it's a race. I mean, at the end of the day, like Jerry and Frank knew before the leg even started that they were in trouble. So them the brakes. I mean, Gary and D'Angelo had to use had a boat with one engine in it.
Yeah.
No one would have thrown them a pity party if they would have finished last. I personally, obviously that's my team, so I would have been upset. But them the brakes. If the engine, if you're in a boat and the engine's only got one engine, or you have to go get more gas, or you weren't smart enough to read your clue, which that's the second week in a row that we've had teams that don't read the entire clue, which that's just a pet peeve of my own, because that would be the first thing I'm doing is reading the clue. Yeah, I mean, so it's a game. I mean, I hear what you're saying, because it would make it better television if Frank and Jerry would have made it closer, right? But at the end of the day, it happened. Sorry.
Well, we've had it both. We've had it both.
Man. Have a heart.
We've had it both though. Like normally the U-turns in the beginning generally. Yeah. Right. And then you got the roadblock. But I mean, I have seen it, I think, one other time where it was at the end. I mean, I like the fact that it's kind of random like that. You don't know where it's going to be. I think that's what makes the show so interesting, because the rules, they change every season. So you're never going to have the same stuff. You're going to have maybe stuff from the old season, or, maybe an entirely brand new concept. So I do like the fact that it's kind of random like that. But go ahead, Goldberg.
No, I just thought, are we at the elimination? Are we talking elimination here?
Oh, we're still kind of on the U-turn part, kind of.
Yeah, just I think more strategy. Like, so I mean, yes, they could have theoretically, they could have used the 10-minute or 20-minute hourglass that they got. So I mean, in theory, because no one used it. So in theory, I mean that's still an advantage, right? If a team would have used it, let's say Will and James would have used that, right? That's still an advantage. So
I think Jerry and Frank were screwed from the second that they left that bag on the island. That was the end of that.
Right.
I still think this thing was edited to make it even seem like it was relatively close. But when they reached, I'll say what I'm about to say. But I don't think there was really anything they can do. Once they left that bag on the island, that was their death sentence. They were done.
Yeah.
Right, and how many times, Hurls, have we seen where like a team does a challenge and it starts in the middle of the day, or what I'm perceiving is the middle of the day, and Phil has to go talk to them while they're still at the challenge. They're not even anywhere near the mat and say, it's nighttime. You're eliminated from the race.
Well, also Eshwar and Aparna, they actually helped out Jerry and Frank this episode too.
True.
So I mean, they got they had at least some help, but then
Wait, when did they help them? I missed that.
Frank was asking Iswar how to do something. It was, I think, he didn't have his machete maybe.
That's right.
And Iswar told him where to go get it.
Okay.
It was like in the beginning,
I mean,
but
the top 5 teams were all helping each other out too. They were all tipping each other off where things were. But I think Frank and Jerry got the short end of the stick overall, because they got screwed last week and they got screwed this week. When Alana and Leo tipped off the blonde, they got screwed by Alana, Leo, and Haley twice, 2 weeks in a row. It's
yeah, they did.
I mean, first when they tipped them off about the horn, because they were both clueless about the horns, and then this week when they did the U-turn, I mean, they really got the short end of the stick by those two teams 2 weeks in a row. Because if you make it an even playing field, I'm not so sure that Alana and Leo would have ever realized about the horn going back to last week. And this week, I don't think Michelle. No, this was Michelle and Victoria, with Gary and D'Angelo tipping off Michelle and Victoria. I don't think Michelle and Victoria had no idea they had to take their items with them. So if you level the playing field, they both would have had to go back almost at the same time and gone back to get their items. So whether they could have beat Michelle and Victoria out once they got to the cooking thing, I don't know. But the fact that Gary and D'Angelo yelled out over the boat, really, that sealed their fate to me.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a luck from the draw there.
It's almost like they had
right
no
place,
friends.
right time.
Yeah, everybody else was kind of tipping each other off, and nobody was helping them out. I would have helped you guys, Frank and Jerry. I would have been there for you.
Well, right. That was the team that if you would have going game, that was your second. Which
if you would have saw the hidden scene, they did more of the mat. Like, you got to see more of the conversation on the mat with them too, and they were basically breaking down and saying how proud they were of each other. So I think you would have enjoyed that, Goldberg.
I don't. Maybe I have more emotion, but I thought that elimination was pretty sad. I guess everybody cries at the end, but I thought it was pretty emotional.
Yeah.
They fizzled out after that week 1 mid-card victory.
Yeah, it can be. I mean, there are teams that you can just tell, after they get eliminated, they're frustrated. So they're kind of smiling through being pissed off. Dang, if we would have done if we would have done this, that might have changed their fate. So I mean, but yeah, it does get emotional on the mat, because that's the thing too. Like, everybody wants to do well, and you don't want to get embarrassed. And I thought Jerry and Frank were going to get eliminated right away. So what do I know?
Yeah, it turns out our initial perspective of them was correct. Kind of snuck. Yeah.
I had preseason. I had them at 6. So maybe I was a little high on them, but I had them at 6 actually. Like, my first, before the show even started, I think I had them at 6. But
How about Kalen liking my tweet? Let's get that out there.
There you go.
Was it Kalen or Haley? I don't know which one.
There you go.
I can't remember which one it was. Kalen. It was Kalen.
Well, next step is getting them on the show, right?
Oh, well, that's coming.
All right.
We got a connection. We got a little connection.
So, then after the U-turn, they go meet Phil on the boat, and Will and James. Finally, we get a new winner, taking first place. Got to feel good about that, Goldberg.
Sure, yeah. Just made all my predictions last week right. I kind of was being a little high on them, but every prediction I made was right about them this week. They pulled the bitchy move and they took first, and I'm looking forward to where they go from here. And I feel like they're like really like I don't know. They're after this week. I already felt like Hung and Chi, Gary and D'Angelo, kind of were and the volleyballers kind of were the three teams that were like I don't know maybe more in I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. Not intense, more like not involved. I don't know the word I'm looking for, but they were more
focused, maybe.
They were in. I just felt like invested in
invested. Thing. Okay.
Yeah, and now I'm going to put Will and James as the fourth team in there. That I legitimately think those four teams are like kind of a neck ahead of everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's right.
Yeah. So then second place we had Hung and Chi, who they're not going away anytime soon. 2 first place victories and a second place victory. They are definitely a solid, very, very solid team. And then I would say the surprise of the week was third place. We had the Blondes. They aced that cooking challenge, and there you go. They get third this week. Were you guys surprised to see that?
I'll admit that. I was surprised to see that.
Yeah.
I actually thought Michelle. I thought Michelle and Victoria, just because of all their blunders, I thought they would find a way to finish there, but they didn't. So that surprised me. I didn't see that coming. So.
Yeah.
It could just be a 1 week fluky thing, honestly.
I think it was.
You still got to give them credit for finishing top 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind. You guys know my thoughts on them. I don't mind seeing them stick around.
Oh,
Kaylin.
And we're still at the point with all of our teams still alive. At the end of the day, it's all about surviving and advancing. Doesn't have to be pretty. It's probably not going to be pretty. There's going to be some ugly moments, where we go, what are we doing? And then, at the end of the day, you strap on your bag and you try next week, assuming it's not an elimination, a non-elimination. So.
Fourth place, we had the volleyballers. I still think it was a pretty good leg for them, considering they did the tougher detour, which I think took longer. So I'm not going to dock them too much this week. I thought they still are running a great race, and I still think I may switch my power rankings a little bit, but they are still, I think, the heavy favorites, in my opinion. But and then fifth, we had your team, Calbert, Gary and D'Angelo. What did you think of their run this week?
I thought they did okay. They're going to make me lose whatever hair I have left, just for not reading the clue and not bringing their stuff. I was concerned because I was like, oh crap. But they at least figured it out fairly quickly, and they survived.
I got a question though. Yep. At the market, did somebody steal their stuff?
That was my interpretation. Yeah, I think that, or Gary at least assumed that somebody did, because he was not a happy camper.
They had to go back into the market and buy the same stuff that they already bought. I know that, or some of the items at least.
I think he thought it might have been Will and James or Hung and Chi that stole their stuff. That was also concerning. But they made it, And I mean, luckily we're at the point now where the mistakes that they are making haven't been completely and utterly catastrophic yet. I'm
Will and James definitely stole their stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was Will and James.
Blame the caddy bitches.
I think it was definitely because they came back twice and kind of just like, is that our machete? All right, just take it. Just take the machete. Like
Yeah.
they were just like, fuck it at this point. Like,
Right.
take anyone's and let's get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
But no, I think they did okay.
They aced shade for the tree,
Yeah.
Whatever that the tree task. I think they did that really, really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hurls, how'd you feel about your team?
Iswar and Aparna, I thought they had a really bad week this week. There's a lot of mistakes they made. They made mistakes at the market when they were first, I believe, to get to the market.
They were. Yep.
So I think with them missing all those items, they made a lot of attention to detail mistakes, I thought, this week. And then they really kind of struggled on the tree shade task. I just think they struggle. I mean, they're engineers, and you would have thought they would have done better at that, but I think maybe the cooking task might have been better for them. But yeah, I thought it was a pretty bad week for them. I think they got lucky that Michelle and Victoria were just blonde out in outer space, thinking about something else, how they couldn't find that clue, because if they didn't, they would have taken 7th. But so I think they were lucky to get 6th. I still think there's a lot of room to improve. It's a long race, so I'm not too concerned yet, but 6th place, not the worst, but definitely room for improvement. Hopefully they got some of this out of their system. We'll see though. And then 7th we have Michelle and Victoria, and coming in 8th with who got W turn was Leo and Alana. And they're definitely one of the drama starters. There's no question. Them and Will and James, they got a good beef. And I think Michelle and Victoria and Hung and Chi got a beef too, because you see a little bit more of that beef on the hidden scenes. They were kind of fighting over a boat to go to the next task. So that was kind of entertaining. But overall, it was a good episode. Sad to see Frank and Jerry go, but man, yeah, they just slow to move, attention to detail. That's like the worst combo. So they're just kind of, in hindsight, they were kind of the happy to be there team as well, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I was a little disappointed, but I was glad my team survived, I guess. But it's like you said, surviving in advance. So each week's a new week. Overall, Goldberg, how would you rate the episode 1 to 10?
Well, since I rated the last one and I think a 7.5, 8, I gotta go a little higher on this one. I thought this one was full of action. I really enjoyed this episode. I'm gonna give it an 8.5, only because I gotta leave some room, thinking there's gonna be some better episodes forthcoming. So I'll say 8.5.
Calbert.
I'll go with a 9, just because of the excitement and the drama, and we, welcome to the Amazing Race, and we got it now. We got beef going, which that always makes me happy.
I'm also gonna give it a 9, because not only it was a first time in the Amazon, which was pretty cool. Mm-hmm. I mean, they've been to Brazil plenty of times, but the fact that they were in this environment, I think it was awesome. They were even able to do a task. That's pretty cool. So yeah, giving it a 9 with the W turn drama and everything else that happened. There was a little bit of everything. So yeah, this was by far the best episode, I think, for sure. All right, power rankings time. I go first this week, I believe.
You do.
Yes. Okay. So you guys been mostly going from bottom to top. So I'll try to do that this week. At number 8, I am going to go with Michelle and Victoria. I was really high on them, but man, if you cannot find the clue that's right in front of you to drop down that bad, I gotta dock you. They're just that first week they looked so good, and they're starting to fade now. I think the race fatigue is starting to get to them. So I'm putting them at number 8. Number 7, I'm putting Alana and Leo. I'm only putting them ahead of Michelle and Victoria because I think they win if they don't get double U-turn there. So they're still, I can't put them at 8. I'm gonna put Alana and Leo there. At 6, I know they had a good week this week, but I'm still putting the Blondes. I think they kind of fluked into what place they got this week. I don't think they can do it again. Maybe they'll prove me wrong, but I'm putting them at 6th. At 5, I'm putting Ishwar and Aparna there. They did not have a good week, but I think they're still better than those 3 teams, at least from what I've seen. Number 4, I'm going to go with D'Angelo and Gary. I'm going to keep them at 4. They had a pretty decent week, but they slipped a little bit with some of the detailed stuff. So I got them at 4. Coming in at number 3, I'm putting Will and James. I moved them up 3 spots from last week. They took first. So they it was a good week for them. They did everything right. I mean, they made sure they were going to read the clue this week. So I'm putting them at 3. Number 2, I'm going to move the volleyballers back 1. Still had a really good week. They really didn't trip up yet. I still think we're going to get a barrage of volleyball first place victories pretty soon here. I think this team is just they're the team to beat, in my opinion. But I got to put Hung and Chi at 1 because the stats don't lie. This team just keeps coming. So they're running a great race, and I don't think anyone is more intense than Hung. If you don't believe me, go on the YouTube hidden scenes and watch her on that boat scream for a good 5 minutes. You'll be amazed. Make sure you have the volume on low though, because it is kind of annoying. But yeah, I'm putting Hung and Chi at 1 this week. Goldberg, your power rankings.
Okay, number 8, I agree with you on a couple here. Number 8, I agree with you, Michelle and Victoria. I just don't. They're trending in the wrong direction, and I was with you. I was high on them after week 1, and they're just trending in the wrong direction right now. They seem like they could possibly turn on each other and argue. And one of them's more competitive than the other one. I don't know which one it is, but if this week is an elimination week, which I think we're probably coming to one that's not. I think that they'll finish last. 7th, I'm going with my LeBron James team, who I love to hate, Alana and Leo. I think they're going to sneak by there again. Like you said, if they didn't get double U-turn, they were comfortably in. So I got them 7th. So here's what I'm doing for 6th. I feel like one of those top teams has to have a bad week eventually. It can't just be the same 3 or 4 teams up there every week. So I think I'm going to go with the volleyballers and say that they have a down week. No really threat of elimination, just they finished 6th, kind of behind everyone else. 5th, I'm going with Aparna and Eswar. They're just that team that seems like they're just going to keep going the whole way. 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. I don't know. Just keep getting by. 4th, I got my girls, the Blondes, Kaylin and Haley. I think they turned a little corner this week, getting involved in the action and double U-turning Frank and Jerry and kind of maybe making some enemies along the way. And it's going to be tough to stick with just Alana and Leo and think you're going to skate by. But I don't know. I feel like they're in this thing now. 3rd, I got Gary and D'Angelo. I feel like they're on the path now to finishing top 3, top 4 every week, unless Gary has to play the drums again, then they're going to be in trouble. 2, I got Hung and Chi. Could they possibly keep finishing 1 and 2 every week? I mean, is that you guys have watched every season. I haven't. Is that what normally happens? There's a top team that just finishes right there every week.
The green team in season 27, I think they won 8 out of 11 legs or something like that. 9 out of 11.
Wow.
It's definitely possible.
Yeah, usually when a team like this is one consistently and or two, they're pretty much there. That's why Phil generally gives them the stats when they're there. Like, oh, you've finished, no worse than 2 in 7 out of the 9 legs thus far.
But I do feel like there won't be 3 or 4 teams doing that every week. Number one.
Before you say that, I just want to say though, the green team did not win the Amazing Race. They took second. So.
True. Yeah. True.
Yep.
So number one, I'm going with my guys, Will and James. I think they completely turned the corner this week. And after taking first last week, their reign has just begun. They are bitchy. They are ready. They're going to fucking take this thing down. Let's go.
Calbert, power rankings.
Well, I know we don't normally go over our power rankings beforehand, although somebody looked at my notes this week. No, actually, I agree with you, Hurls. I have Kaylin Haley at 8. I think they just got lucky. 7, I have Leo and Alana, just because I had to put them somewhere. And if Alana doesn't have a nervous breakdown this week, I guess that's kind of a win. So just got that going for her. 6, Michelle and Victoria. They could have been eliminated this week just by not finding the clue, and it was right there for them, as we said. 5, I have D'Angelo and Gary. 4, I have Eswar and Aparna. 3, I have Will and James. They look like they could win it all this week, which that scares me. I think thus far they might have figured it out. 2, I have Riley and Madison. I agree. At some point, the volleyballers are going to say, you know what, because I can speak all these languages, that's going to be to my benefit, and we'll finish 1. And then 1, I have Chi and Hung, just because they look really good. So we'll see. I think that's the fun thing. This next week they go to Paraguay, I believe. So
that's South America too, right?
Yeah, correct.
Wow, that's weird. You usually don't see 3 countries in South America. Usually they're off to Asia or Africa by now. But that's interesting. I'm going to take a guess that this week's going to be non-elim. What do you guys think?
I agree with that. We've gone 3 weeks in a row with elimination.
How many non-eliminations are there?
I think there's 2 or 3.
Yeah, they usually throw in 2 or 3, and it's usually.
Then it's got to definitely be one this week.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think it's either 2 or 3 for sure.
And they don't generally go. Well, they have, but they don't generally go 4 legs in a row with an elimination. And so what's going to happen then, if we're right, generally happens if it's a non-elimination is Phil will say it's a non-elimination. So what happens is you're gonna we're gonna take all your money, and you have to do a speed bump at some point. So we'll see. I agree. I don't.
Do you notice in the new seasons though they don't talk about money, even though I just listened to an interview. They still do the money, but for whatever reason the show does not talk about it. I don't know why, but they don't. They still do it, but they just don't show it for whatever reason. So I don't really get that whole point. But whatever. But yeah, no, you were saying they're gonna have what they call a speed bump. So if you take last on a limb, you're gonna have to do an extra task that nobody else has to do.
Yeah, sorry. I didn't explain that. Sorry. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And it really depends. on the speed bump itself. Like
Mhm.
we've seen some speed bumps that are just like so easy, you can get it done in 2 minutes.
Right.
And it's like you really don't lose anything. We've also seen speed bumps that take like 20 minutes. So it just really depends. But
Yeah, the only thing I know
yeah.
about this week thus far from what I've seen from the clip is that watermelons are involved and it's a cart. And at least for my team and D'Angelo and Gary, all the watermelons fall out of the cart, which I don't know what that means, but I'm guessing it's not good.
Something happens to the blondes too, doesn't it? In like
Yeah.
a taxi.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where that
Yeah.
goes, have fun.
And Iswar has a little like he starts swearing a lot on one of the tasks. So, yep. So that's kind of your little sneak peek.
Mm-hmm.
But Goldberg, you got any thoughts on the next episode here? Any you think it'll be a non-limb as well?
Yeah, I think it'll be a not. I mean, if you're saying there's 2 or 3,
Yeah.
I mean, you got 8 teams left. I mean, what are they going to have 3 weeks in a row of non-elimination? They got to have one coming up either this week or next week. It's got to be this week or next week.
Well, that's exactly why I think that's why Hurls and I both think that it's a non-elimination because, well, at least for me, I can only speak for myself. It's because it's even numbers currently. So, generally.
I'm telling you, it's going to be Alana and Leo will finish last and not get eliminated.
Yep.
It's going to happen this week.
A lot of times too in these non-elims, it seems, at least to me, is when they go to a different continent, like the last country they'll do on that continent usually is a non-elim for whatever reason, and then they'll fly to a new continent, and then it'll be elimination again. But at least that's kind of what it seems. But like you say, Calbert, sure to be wrong.
Yep.
So, but I think these 8 teams, though, it's getting down to a lot more intense competition. There's no question.
Well, and to your previous point too, the attention to detail is becoming more magnified, right? That kind of goes back to the teams are kind of separating themselves, and the teams that are reading the clues and really paying attention to it have generally been doing better, So.
Mm-hmm. Yep. More even keel teams.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I think that's all we got. So, Calbert, you got any final comments?
It should be fun. I do think that it's a non-elimination this week, and we'll see.
Goldberg?
Since Frank and Jerry are gone, they were my feel-good story team I was rooting for. So other than Will and James, I got to put the blondes in there now. Kaylin and Haley, we're rooting for you. So remember that when I ask you to come on after the show. So we're rooting for you, all 3 of us, right, guys? Right?
Yes. Yep, that's definitely
changing my power rankings now. Hold on.
Right. I just want to say too, I don't remember any. I'm sure they've gone to Paraguay, but nothing's really ringing a bell as far as going there in the past. So if they did go there, it might have been Goldberg. When you say I've seen every season, I have not seen every season. I've seen probably 80% though. I gotta watch 16 through 24, but other than that, I've seen 1 through 15 and then 25 through 31. So
Paraguay is generally not one of their top go-to spots. Nothing wrong with it. It's just one of those ones where if they happen to be there, they go. It's not like India or Tokyo or
Germany.
Germany, right?
Yeah, it seems like they're there like almost every other season.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah, this is kind of a rarity. So, all right. Well, this was fun. Can't wait for next episode. So we will be back to recap episode 4 of The Amazing Race 32. We'll see you next week.